The first collage films, the first use of collage was really made by D.W. Griffith, the American narrative filmmaker, just after the First World War. During the First World War, he filmed in the front in France, filmed real war footage, and he actually found it quite boring because it wasn't very exciting. And then he restaged war scenes in Hollywood after the war, and he mixed these two things together. And so, although it wasn't conscious in the sense of Picasso and Gras, it was the first use I know of collage technique. But collage as a fine art practice was really developed by an American filmmaker, Bruce Conner, who was born in Kansas City in 1933 and spent most of his life in San Francisco. He's also been known as a sculptor and a painter, but his involvement with art galleries has been somewhat unfortunate. You know, he'd get signed up on contracts whereby he would only be allowed to leave, say, whatever city he was living in 3 or 4 times a year, so many art openings a year, and they could not be publicly married for the time of his contract. And so as a result, he actually dropped out of the art world. He just found it too frustrating and continued most of his activity in film. Well, he was inspired by a Marx Brothers movie, Duck Soup. Movie trailers, which movie trailers are recut. You know, when you see a short advertising a movie, it doesn't follow the same sequence that the narrative does in the story. It's a completely different entity in itself. So those two motivations inspired Conner to develop his technique. Unfortunately, I have no films by Bruce Conner because of his resistance to any sort of commercial enterprise. I've tried to get some, but he's not really interested in selling on the basis that I want to buy films. But I have films by other filmmakers. So I'll talk about those. The first film is by Dominic Angeram of San Francisco. And this film saves me the problem of making a biographical or autobiographical film, because it's a collection of one filmmaker's rejection notices received over a 15-year period. So we just kept them all and filmed them and then just interspersed other footage that he picked up. And it's sort of like a Bruce Conner film. In fact, it uses a Ray Charles soundtrack, and Bruce Conner has done it a number of times. The film that follows, the two films that follow, Hit the Turnpike, really stretched this collage idea quite a long way. The second one, Len Lies Tell Farlow, is a film that was made without a camera by scratching directly onto the surface of the film with like dentist implements. So he would make pieces of film that may be this long, and just scratch them. Sometimes he, not on this film, but in other films he made, he'd rub them with sandpaper and treat them with other sorts of techniques to make basically to realize a moving line, you know, a cinema of moving line. So it's just all of these little, I see it as being collage just in the sense of that he's just got all these various pieces of scratched footage which he's synthesized together and then synchronized to music. The film that follows that by Stan Brakhage is also a direct film made without a camera. But again, it's a different application of the collage technique. This film, The Garden of Earthly Delights, refers to the painting by Bosch and also to a painting by J.E.H. MacDonald, The Tangled Garden. So Brakhage will often enter into an argument in his work with some moment in art history, or some moment of film history, or psychoanalysis or something. So this is he's gone out in the area where he was living at the time, not far from Boulder, Colorado, and collected mountain zone vegetation, foliage, twigs, soil, and he laid it onto a 3M product called Mylar. It's a type of clear tape, which was about 16 millimeters wide. So he pressed these real things down on this, in this Mylar tape, and again made segments, say at this length, so long, just like Len Lai had done, and then joins them all together in some sort of rhythmic, moving vision. It's a very interesting film in what it says about nature, that American idea of the artist's direct experience of nature, or to encourage people to experience nature or their own nature directly, to go out into the world and experience it, you know, not to live in a second-hand way. not to live vicariously, you know, and that I think Brakhage feels that we're all in danger of not living directly any longer, that we're being removed from direct experience, that we're being insulated from life. It's interesting too in terms of, I think, its relationship with MacDonald's painting and that Canadian view of nature. In terms of Canadian art history, has been this one of the, almost this fortress mentality, that nature is alien and nature is threatening and that we cannot go into nature. If we go into nature, it will kill us. With Brakhage, nature will kill us, but it will also liberate us. And you get that in this film at the beginning, where you see a positive and negative image, or positive printed over a negative, or a negative printed over a positive image. So it's like nature's double-edged blade. You know? It's also, as the film goes through the projector, it's like nature. The projector is consuming the film, nature consumes itself. Nature has to consume itself to survive. And also he's getting around the problem of using a movie camera and having to compose things in terms of a lens, because movie lenses replicate 19th century or Renaissance perspective. So you have the fixed point perspective and a vanishing point. And it's been very useful in terms of realising photoplays, but it's been very difficult for any sort of modernist artist, which Brakhage is, to realise this like flat two-dimensional nature of film, or the projected image. So you're getting that, this playing with ideas of abstraction and representation. Also, I think it really questions notions of realism in film, because these are real things you're seeing that are going through the projector, or direct prints of real things. But as they're projected, they become abstractions. So what are you looking at? Are you looking at an abstract work of art, or are you looking at real things? So again, it's a reference, a modernist reference to the mechanical nature of film and projection and the way that we see moving images.